Hey guys, welcome to the first ever MSC Performance Quickcast. Just a couple of minutes video to go through today. Mistakes people make on their first competition day.
Yeah, so this weekend is the Autumn Championships in powerlifting, but these points are going to relate to any kind of fitness-based competition, weightlifting, your high rocks, anything like that. So without further ado, let's dive into it. The first one is eating too much or too little. This one's particular for powerlifting and weightlifting. If you've had to weigh in, a lot of people eat way too much food after they've done so. The sport isn't that demanding. It doesn't require that much food. If people overeat, they have to find that they're a little bit uncomfortable, and it obviously then can lead to disruption further down the line and can lead to a detriment to the performance. On the flip, if you just weigh in and you are a little bit nervous, you don't eat enough, that can also take away. So a general recommendation is eating relatively similar to what you would do on a training session. If you've had to cut weight, that's a little bit different, but if you haven't had to, then just eat your normal foods and prepare yourself as best as you can for a normal kind of training session.
The second mistake we often see is people trying to match their jumps in bench press to the squat and the deadlift. So in the squat and deadlift, obviously you're going to be lifting bigger numbers and it's okay to take those quite big jumps. What we see with people often in their first competition is in the bench press, they try and do a similar thing and take these big sort of 10, 15 kilo jumps. Even for lighter lifters, 5 kilo jumps can be a little bit too much sometimes. So taking that into account and just ensuring that the jumps in bench press are a little bit smaller than the squat and deadlift.
Yeah, we want these to be fairly similar to what you do in training, but if you're looking at percentages, you might be jumping 5% from lift to lift. Like Mark said, that's going to be very different to your squat, to your bench press. So just make sure we're taking that into account when you're coming up with your plan.
The third one we see often is getting distracted by others. So when you're competing for the first time, it's really about focusing on your own performance, and there's going to be a lot of distractions on the day. There's going to be some nerves undoubtedly, and you're going to see some experienced lifters there, some people who have done lots of competitions before, and it's very easy to get distracted by those guys. But really what you want to be doing is just focusing on your own performance on the day. So you can't control anything that anyone else is doing. So whether that's powerlifting, weightlifting, fitness competition, or a 5 or 10K, it doesn't really matter. It's about your performance. And then after that, after your performance, no matter how well it went, it's just keeping perspective. You'll probably make a couple of mistakes, but it's just keeping perspective that it's your first comp and trying to improve on your own performance, not worrying about anyone else, because everyone's on their own journeys and you're going to have people there that are a lot more experienced, and one day that's going to be you. So it's all good.
Exactly that. You don't want to be trying to catch people if you're doing a 5k or a 10k and gassing out really early. You don't want to be changing your openers to try and match someone else in your weight class. You want to stick to your plan and execute it as best as possible. Like Mark said, you get a little bit more advanced. You might be in competitions where you're trying to compete for placings, but for your first one, you just want to go there, execute your plan and get as much out of it as you can. Which brings us on to part 4. Failure to enjoy the moment. Some people act like it should be an enjoyable moment. Some people forget that, I think. You should be enjoying the sport. You should be enjoying the competition element. There's obviously going to be nerves, but you should be trying to maximize that day and get as much out of it as you can. You might compete 2 to 3 times a year, and the window that you will compete is not that big in the grand scheme of your life. So enjoy the moment when you're on the platform, seize the day, and same with your fitness competitions. You might do 2 or 3 a year for 5 years. That's 15 competitions max. So make the most of that time when you're there. Take it all in. Obviously, use the nerves, but try and maximize that enjoyment and look back at it with fond memories.
And finally, the fifth mistake we often see is people trying to hit a PB on their second attempt in the squat, bench, deadlift, or in the snatch and clean and jerk. So this one's a little bit more focused around weightlifting and powerlifting, but we often see people trying to hit that PB on the second lift and then third lift just going in and just being like, right, whatever I get is all good. Really what we want to look at is trying to build a total for that first competition, and ideally you want to be getting the vast majority, if not all of your lifts in.
This means if you can hit a PB on your second and then hit another PB on your third, and that's your plan, amazing. But you don't want to just be going all out on that second lift and then just throwing up a Hail Mary on that third. I've seen people say, oh, my PB is 100, I'm going to get 105 on my second. You're then completely wiped out, you're super high fatigue, you try and do a third, you fail the lift, fatigue super high, and it can negatively affect the rest of the day. You should be building momentum from each attempt to try and maximize that third at the end of the day. So if you can hit PBs on all 3 lifts, amazing, but don't just go for it for the sake of it on your second and then do whatever on the third.
Thanks for listening, guys. If you've got your first competition coming up, good luck and enjoy it.